One of the things that I learned that really started to turn my mindset around to being more positive was that stress can actually be a good thing. And when I first read that, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I have enough stress in my life, I don't like it. Hey there, I've got some laundry to fold. I thought, well, maybe you do too, or maybe you're just missing some face-to-face interaction during this time of social distancing, so I thought I would post an extra video, even though it's not Friday, and just talk about some lessons I've learned in the past few years that have helped me go from even having panic attacks to reducing my anxiety and being a more positive person, and how we can deal with stress and hopefully reduce it. When I was having panic attacks and just a lot of anxiety, really struggling with insomnia and some pretty significant hormone problems, I did a lot of reading, and it all came back to how reducing your stress can really improve these things. If you happen to hear sound in the background, that is my kids in the playroom watching Willems doodle, and I'll provide a link below. He has generously decided to share his time while kids are out of school and teach them how to doodle. We love his book, There's a Bird on Your Head. So I mentioned in my Change Your Mindset video recently about when I was having a bad day that it's helpful for me to restart when I've had a bad day. And if your Monday didn't go that great with your kids at home, that's okay. Don't freak out. Each day is a new day. You can start over. There have been plenty of mornings where I just have to say, guys, let's have a do-over, or let's start over. And that's helped everybody relax and get moving to a more positive place. I saw a post on Facebook that was, I thought, really good from a mommy friend, and what she said was, there are so many great resources for us to use while our kids are at home that we might feel really pressured to just fill our schedules right back up, and she was encouraging not to do that and said just let your kids be bored for 20 minutes. And I totally agree. Like I said, my kids are watching a live stream with Willems, and later they might be doing a live stream with their ninja class. We do have a few things on our schedule, but other than that, I'm giving my kids the chance to become bored, because then they're gonna solve their own problem and become more creative. Hopefully. There was another post on Facebook that was talking about if your goal is to homeschool during this time when they're out of school, but it's creating a lot of stress, you're getting too frustrated with your kids, they're feeling bad, it's a really uncertain time for them too. When their routine is way different, you don't want them to remember during this everybody being stressed and miserable, and make it your priority to have a positive environment at home. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Just more of a real relaxed chat with a friend kind of a thing. Life lessons that have really helped me be more intentional and positive, that have significantly helped reduce my stress so that I can be more creative. And that's the whole point of my channel, intentional creative living. But I wanted to talk about dealing with stress. Right now my house is kind of a mess. After I recorded my Stay Calm and Mommy On video, maybe you can tell I've rearranged the house a little bit. I think that I respond to change by creating more change. I usually will go get my hair cut, or lately I've been cutting my own hair. Got a few videos up of doing that if you're interested. So the other day I decided I would rearrange my whole house, because if we're gonna be stuck at home, I might as well enjoy what I'm doing, right? So I thought I would finish some painting projects that I've started, and I'm excited about some different things, but it's created a lot of chaos in our home. So while parenting wise, I had a great day yesterday, and I was actually surprised at how little my kids bickered. There were a few DIY moments that were a little bit frustrating, and I had to give myself a mommy time out. Now, what got me so irritable and cranky? One of those DIY things that I am just horrible at, that I don't think professional interior designers have to deal with, is hanging their own mirrors. Now, I have tried to hang this mirror before over on that wall, and I just thought with rearranging the couches and putting that large one here, that the mirror that's almost as long as that couch, it just didn't look right. So I tried to move it over to that wall. I'll show you. After we put these really heavy duty wall anchors into it, which they make pretty big holes. You can't just, it's not a simple thing to just, you know, oops, I made a mistake, change it. This attempt at updating my decor to make my house look better actually didn't go that well. We ended up being able to straighten it out, but then after that I noticed it was a little bit too far to the left. But it does make my dining area seem bigger, and it's the thought that counts, right? No, the thought that counts does not work with interior decorating. That's what you call nailing it, or literally screwing it up. Hey now, I was trying to be positive, okay? I have to live with that. Let's work on being a little bit more encouraging, shall we? I was just being realistic, you know. Hey, if you're enjoying this content, be sure to click the like button and maybe comment below. It actually helps other people to find my channel and hopefully encourage them too. Anyway, me talking to myself is a perfect example of why I was never a cool kid. I just like being weird a little bit too much, which you can also tell by my ninja moves in my puppy love wreath video. I have plenty of extra glue sticks, and I thought to myself, I feel like being a glue gun ninja today.
Don't mess with me.
By the way, I feel super blessed that after a year I've reached 100 subscribers. So thank you all so much for your support and watching these videos. The number of subscribers and the watch time are really metrics that communicate to video content creators that our viewers are finding value in our content. And my 3 goals for this year included bringing value to you guys, and that is my prayer that I bring you value and encouragement. So thank you again for being here with me, and on to those important lessons about stress and staying positive despite less than positive circumstances. One of the things that I learned that really started to turn my mindset around to being more positive was that stress can actually be a good thing. And when I first read that, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I have enough stress in my life, I don't like it. And we read in a lot of magazines about how stress is bad for you, but there are actually a few different kinds of stress. There is eustress, which is spelled EU, like you as in euphoria, and it means good stress. So like goal setting and challenging yourself to do new things, putting yourself out of your comfort zone, those are examples of good stress, and they can make you a more vibrant person, more energetic. And then there is the distress, the kind we normally talk about of like, oh, I'm so stressed out. And even the more unpleasant version of stress, that distressed feeling, can actually be something that you can tell yourself, hey, this is good for me because it's going to challenge me and grow me in the long run. And having a growth mindset is really powerful. So a lot of people will talk about the oak tree where the wind made it stronger so that the roots grow further down. And I want to encourage you that this time of social distancing, when we're all stuck at home, can really be a good opportunity for eustress. Not like you stress, like I hope that doesn't happen, but the eustress, where we'll just be able to grow our roots down deeper and really build a sense of self-efficacy. I mentioned that in the Teaching Kids Goal Setting video, but just to reiterate it, that self-efficacy is the idea that we can have an impact on our situation, that we can figure out a plan. As Marie Forleo says, everything is figure-outable, that instead of feeling powerless and giving our power away to our circumstance and giving up and saying, oh, this is just horrible, everything's all bad, just saying, well, what can I do in this situation to make it as positive and growing an experience as possible? I believe it might have been either a Dr. Cloud or a Dr. Townsend book. It talked about how people tend to respond to things, whether they're reactive or proactive. And people who are proactive, or they tend to solve a problem instead of just reacting emotionally and being like, oh, this is horrible, and they like to complain and all that. People who are proactive are more successful in life. That makes total sense. They're problem solvers, right? In my journey, the idea of resilience and now proactivity that I'm trying to move forward towards. So that can be our goal not only for ourselves, but if you have kids, teaching them to be resilient is a wonderful way to set them up for success throughout their life. And I'm not a health expert, but just in my own health journey, I've learned that trying to reduce cortisol from the negative kind of stress will really help me function better. So I want to share some thoughts about how to do that. Now, as a parent, sometimes you can feel claustrophobic, people being in and on around here, and I've even had to make sure like Cody gets his anxiety medicine because there's more noise and the kids are running around, and it's just a lot for him. He's part Chihuahua to handle. So in situations like that, it's definitely a lot easier to be reactive and just be like, I have this expectation for silence and I'm not getting it. Or if you're working from home, I have this expectation for productivity and I'm not getting it, and I am just so frustrated. And you know, we could get really reactive and say, this is not the ideal circumstance, this is not the way my life should be, and just be grumpy. And I've been there, I've gotten stuck like that, but it really doesn't do your family any favors. So for me, knowing that my thoughts create my emotions has been very powerful. I don't have to be a slave to my emotions, and that reactivity, I can actually check my thoughts and determine what I want to think. Instead of going down a spiral like I used to when I was really struggling with anxiety, now I can say, hey, the situation of being at home together with my husband working at home, we can really build a team environment. And since making those shifts in my thought patterns, I've really been a lot more positive and my anxiety levels have gone down. Now, I'm not opposed to medication. I think that it can really help some people if you're just really struggling to function and to cope. But I've personally been able to reduce my stress level so much that I didn't need to go on medication in order to deal with my anxiety. So I just wanted to give you hope that if you're just really struggling, that it's possible to do a lot of thought work and learning that can really make a drastic effect on your life. I just think that's a really important foundation to start with. So now, besides the kind of thought work that you can do to reduce your stress levels, I want to talk about strategies you can use to reduce your stress even further. On the absolute worst days, when I was just really struggling to make it through the day, wondering if I could make it through the day, and my kids were having meltdowns and they could tell I didn't have it together, sometimes I just use music to reset the tone, and it definitely works because it's a sensory experience. It can get you out of your head. It can get you feeling a lot more positive a lot more quickly. So I have Pandora channels. There's a lot of ones you can play for your kids if you have kids. The Disney ones, there's some different calming ones. We like the piano guys, fun music that can really boost the joy in your home. Sometimes we just need something to help our feelings get moving to a better place, right? Y'all know I like decluttering. I mentioned I am rearranging. Sometimes changing things up will get you to a better place. Laughter definitely helps. My husband and I like to watch, after the kids go to bed, a pretty clean comedy channel on YouTube called Dry Bar Comedy. I'll put a link for that channel below. And there's just different topics, a lot about parenting, a lot about just anything that you can imagine we've laughed about. That totally reduces your stress. Maybe if you and your spouse have butted heads more than often lately with all this stuff going on, that might really help you just laugh together and bond together in a positive way. I mentioned in my last video that our family likes to play together. Playing is definitely something that we've forgotten in our achiever, goal-oriented society. We've sometimes forgotten how to do. So I encourage you to break out some board games or some card games or just word games. There's no rule that says you can't play I Spy beyond a certain age, right? Get your body moving, that will reduce cortisol and get your serotonin flowing. I often talk about walking my dog, Cody. That's something I have to do anyways. I'm so thankful for him because he has really improved my mental state just because I have more of a sense of obligation to walk him. But I think making that commitment to yourself is very important. So even walking as little as a mile a day has really made a big impact for me. And right now I'm talking to you folding my laundry, but normally I might be either watching a YouTube, maybe a TED Talk and learning about something, or I might be reading with my audiobook subscription. I'll put a link to that below if you're interested. And the book that I've been getting a lot out of lately is called Boundary with Kids, which is basically about reducing your stress levels as a parent and enjoying your kids more and empowering them to be resilient, capable individuals. And it has super helpful advice for any age range that you might be parenting now. And I probably should have talked about this first, but there was an amazing tip by an acquaintance who's a homeschool mom. And I do remember in the back of my head some veteran moms telling me when I had little kids to make sure you institute a quiet time in your home. And especially if we're all close quarters for a long amount of time, we can start driving each other nuts. I mentioned about there being more noise and activity in my house, more mess because, you know, people are using the space more than usual and not putting things away all the time. That sometimes we just need a little bit of a break. So when my kids were a little bit younger, I would have them nap for 2 minutes or be still and quiet for 20 minutes. So of course they'd want to choose the 2-minute option, right? And then they usually sleep more than 2 minutes. It was great while it lasted. But in any case, just like for me, I'm gonna sit down and read for 10 minutes and the kids know if mommy's reading, she's getting calm, she's gonna be nicer afterwards. It's a good thing, right? So you have that quiet time. Hopefully you have some kids books that they can look at. Maybe they could color. But the general idea is we're not interacting, we're having some alone time. And that's really a form of self-regulation where they can be happy not being entertained, as I mentioned in my last video. And that's just really good for them, that they can be comfortable being alone. Maybe your kids are gonna grow up and be single for a while and you want them to be able to handle that mentally, right? But really just for your sanity during these next few weeks, try the quiet time during your quarantine and social distancing, okay? I think counseling is a really good resource after having postpartum. I myself have been in therapy, and I think especially extra sensitive people like me can definitely benefit working through these tough times. So if you're thinking, man, my thoughts are really in a dark place right now, not coping well with anxiety and stuff, if you can't go to an office, there are resources out there. I'll put some links below if that's something you could benefit from. Well, thanks so much for joining me. I folded my laundry and just chatted with you about my life lessons. Comment below if you have any life lessons that have helped reduce your stress. I would love to hear them, and I'm sure it would be helpful for other people too. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so that you'll know when the next video is up. I try to upload my normal videos on Friday, but this week everybody's routine's a little bit different than normal, so I thought I would post hopefully some extra encouragement for you. I want you to know you guys matter, and I love you all, and thank you again to those who helped me reach my first 100 subscribers. Have a good one. Bye. Probably shouldn't be folding skivvies in front of you guys, so we'll just edit that out. Yeah.